Hello, I'm Sam Rodell. We're here in our architectural studio in Spokane. I'm sitting here with Maren Longhurst, who has been with our team for a number of years, and we're going to talk a little bit about intersections between health and architecture that we're increasingly engaging in our architectural practice. Maren has a long list of certifications that tie into these kinds of things. She's a certified passive house consultant, which is the same level of certification that I have with that institution. She's certified by the Green Building Council as a LEED AP. We'll talk about LEED a little bit in a few minutes. And most recently and most significantly for this conversation, she is also certified by the Well Building Institute as a Well Building AP. So, Maren, how did all that happen?
Well, 10 years ago, my husband and I set out to build a home for our family. We didn't know very much, but we had some ideas about efficiency and sustainability. We found it very challenging to go against the status quo, the standard building construction.
Sure.
We managed to do a few things right, but we did have to let some things go. And my education has become a way for me to learn more about building better and to help other people who are in the situation that we found ourselves in. Didn't have a lot of resources to do that.
Well, I think that it's been interesting to me and more than a little inspirational to watch you launch into an ambitious career. And is it fair to say midlife? I mean,
I'm there.
Everyone in your family, it seems, is in college, except for your husband. Is he in college?
He's not.
Okay,
No.
so everyone else, everyone's in school at the same time, and your education has been really a great thing. I think that could be a topic for a separate conversation, really. But your interest and your aptitude for the technical and the building science applications and all things let's say geeky, that our office is getting increasingly involved in, and has really it's fit very well with the vector that we have found ourselves engaging in as our buildings become more and more interwoven with high performance building and considerations like health and architecture.
I find it really important to learn about the technologies and the knowledge that's available now, and help to make that happen more often in construction.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Well Building Institute. Tell us a little bit about where this whole initiative came from and why you took an interest in it, if you would, please.
Well, there's an interesting backstory. Paul Ciala worked on Wall Street for 18 years before he quit to start a new venture. He actually was remodeling his apartment. He and his wife wanted to remodel and had some ideas about health.
Sort of like you.
Sort of like us.
Yeah.
And didn't find much. So he decided to see what would happen if he put architects and doctors, medical professionals, in the same room together. He worked with doctors from the Mayo Clinic and from other institutions, and put them in a room with architects and asked them the question, how would we build if we wanted to improve human health? And the result is this well building standard. A set of guidelines or a certification program to improve buildings for human health based on medical research.
So LEED is about, it's sort of a points-based system on building buildings in ways that are better for the environment. And in some ways, there are some, I know, considerations for health in LEED, but the emphasis is mostly on the building.
Yeah, there is a lot of overlap between LEED and the Well Building Standard, but LEED really does focus on sustainability and on the environment, what's better for the planet, whereas the Well Building Standard focuses on the health of the occupants.
On people. Yeah. Less emphasis on building, more emphasis on people.
Right.
So I think that's I mean, ultimately architecture is about people, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought of it as about sort of human experience, but this is another layer there where it's talking about how the environment actually impacts our well-being, and so
Right.
that's a consideration beyond what I have traditionally thought about as an architect, and certainly well beyond what I was taught to think about in undergraduate school or graduate school, or in academia, or anywhere in sort of what I sometimes call the cult of architecture.
Yeah.
So it's a more focused, perhaps, approach to things than the LEED.
Yeah, LEED is kind of a checklist approach, a list of things that we can do to make the buildings perform better and better
Yeah.
for the environment.
I've been critical of LEED sometimes in the past for being too late, too little, but it has been a force for good in an industry that really resists change.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be interesting to see how the well building movement is received. But I think for our office, it's definitely a fit.
Mm-hmm.
I was influenced, mentored really, by the founder, the original founder of the rammed earth company that we work with, Firewall, many years ago. I became quite involved with Mirror and professionally, and we've done a lot of work together over the years. But he organizes his whole practice around an acronym he refers to as HEAD, HEAD, health, environment, aesthetics, durability. Those are his priorities, and that is the order of his priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So he
With health coming before all
before
else.
everything, before
Mm-hmm.
all other considerations. They're all important, but if there's going to be, if you're going to have some compromise to be made between one or the other, he has great clarity about how he's going to sort his priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the first time that I really ran into someone else in the building industry who had that kind of that kind of clarity and that kind of commitment to the idea that health and the environment was going to be what was going to be driving his everything that he does. And I think it's really an excellent way to work. We spend a lot of time inside.
Even those of us who love to be outside spend
Yeah.
probably 90% of our time indoors.
Yeah. We think about, I mean, our children, our employees, everyone we care about as well as ourselves. And so it makes sense to be thoughtful about the environments that we're creating. For Mirror, one of the key things with health had to do with air quality.
Mm-hmm.
And I make the point in a couple of other places on our website that I think it's astonishing to me that by weight we breathe 7 times more than we eat every day. It's just a tremendous amount of air that we're cycling through our lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Mirror does a presentation. He does quite a bit of public speaking, and he has a presentation where he has a mason jar and he has a tackle box full of little samples of all kinds of toxins. And they're all the poisonous things that get built into a typical wall assembly in mainstream construction.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls them out one at a time, explains what it is. He has a very strong background in chemistry, puts it into the mason jar, and you can see the jars start to fill up with all of this. He goes through the whole list, and then he sprinkles some water in there. He slaps the lid on top, and he shakes it up, and then he sort of offers it around. Would anyone like to have perhaps a whiff?
Breathe this.
And it's like nobody goes near that jar, but that's essentially, I mean, we're all living in that jar.
Right, and none of that is regulated. There's
Yeah.
no government oversight of toxins in construction.
Right.
We
Yeah.
just live with these things
Yeah.
every day.
I mean, I know that our office goes to all lengths that we can, and LEAD encourages this as well, but we try to stay away from, I mean, there are all kinds of things that are, where we have healthy choices and we have unhealthy choices.
Mhm.
So we specify the healthy stuff, and a lot of that means paying attention to traveling things all the way back up through the source.
Right.
There's not necessarily a lot of transparency either in the
Mhm.
construction industry. So we have we make use, we actually subscribe to some websites that are research-based, that, they go deep into corporations, and that would be a topic perhaps for another conversation too. I
Yeah.
don't want to sort of drift off into that, but it's a hugely important point that you make. It's not like the Food and Drug Administration, or all of the things that we're used to as consumers, where we're given at least a little bit of protection.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, good point.
Yeah. So the well building standard is built around 7 core concepts: mind, comfort, fitness, light, nourishment, water, and air.
Mhm.
And there are points to be earned in each of these categories. Of course, air quality, the quality of water, where LEAD is focused on conservation of water. The well building standards is focused on maintaining high quality and clean water
Mhm.
and for consumption. And all of these core concepts are addressed in how they apply to our body's systems,
Mhm.
whether it's the cardiovascular system, the immune system, the respiratory system. All of these things in our buildings have a medical or a physical effect on the systems of our bodies. This is a very interconnected approach,
Mm.
talking about the way we build and how it affects short-term and long-term physical health.
Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense. Everything is so interconnected.
Mhm.
So I think that the short-term and long-term piece of it is interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that one of the things that we have been doing for our clients is saving them a lot of money in in the cost of owning and operating their buildings recently. But you pulled together, or I think sourced or cited, some interesting information. This was from the founder of the Well Building Institute, wasn't it?
It is. It's from an interview with Paul Snella.
Yeah. So what was he up to with that?
Well, he was talking about the savings that we've seen through energy efficiency,
Mhm.
and how pushing for those savings in construction has turned into a trillions of dollars an industry.
Mhm.
And then he takes us one step further, asking how much could we save by improving our buildings for the people inside. Employers typically spend $300 per square foot per year on employee expenses, salaries, wellness benefits. And if we can save just a couple of % by
Yeah.
improving employee health and job satisfaction, productivity, creativity, there's a potential for huge savings.
Yeah, because the upside potential of $300 a foot, and I'm sure that's going to vary a lot from company to company, and I mean the circumstances of an individual company. But if the statistic is that it's like $2.50 for the utilities and like $10 for the other operational costs, and 300.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that our most valuable asset is our people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Mm-hmm.
I think that we all know that, but it's also a place where it could be an awfully darn good business decision to invest in.
Yeah, if employers can improve the health of the people in the building by using things like circadian lighting,
Mm-hmm.
which has a short-term effect of promoting better sleep, long-term effect on overall health,
Yeah.
or hydration,
Mm-hmm.
or even ergonomic furniture.
Right. Yeah, I know there are just so many ways to go with this. But if you think about employee retention or just the esprit de corps, the the morale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I think that one last thing I would point to is that we've actually welcomed a holistic doctor onto our staff. Dr. Todd Schlaffer will be sitting down with him to talk about his thoughts about the intersections between health and architecture as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he's helping us with these things, and he's helping our clients understand these things, and he's also helping us to sort of reframe projects even as they originate, to think about maybe what the design program might look like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a fascinating development, and one that we're very excited about. So I think that's it for, unless there's something that you would like to throw in here, I think that's just a good brief overview.
Yeah, I'm just very excited about this dialogue between building science and medical practitioners.
Yeah.
I think it's an exciting direction.
Boy, me too. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Sam.